start. All right, so this month's topic is about Monero and Litecoin, which I spelled Litecoin wrong, which I just noticed right now. Litecoin. So for those that don't follow, so the Monero stuff, that's the new Monero update coming up sometime July. So they do a hard fork or upgrade, as they call it, once or twice a year. So this upcoming one, they have new improvements to the software, which is the ring-size increase in the protocol, meaning that instead of 11, ring size 11 is 16. So when I say ring size, this is how they do the anonymizing to make it private. So left is like Bitcoin. You can see when you sign a transaction. Monero is where a whole bunch of people come together and you sign a transaction. You just don't know which one. So originally it started at 5 or 6 ring size. So then they kept increasing. So now it's up to 16 decoys, what they call it, decoys transaction. So you don't know who they came from. Another update is the Bulletproof Plus. So this is just a upgrade of the existing Bulletproofs, and it just makes the block float less. That means over time it just won't get as big. So 5% reduced, not that big of a deal. And one major thing, which is a very user experience problem with Monero, is you haven't opened your Monero wallet for like months. It takes forever to sync it because you have to scan the entire blockchain to find your transactions to get updated balance. So they finally fixed the problem, kind of. Well, they just sped it up. So now it's called the Monero Viewtags. So they put some type of checkpoint marker on a specific on the blockchain or something like that in your wallet, and then it'll scan and update your balance a lot faster than what it is before. So this is not coming out until July, right? And the next major thing in Monero for the next, whatever, 50 years or 100 years is the tail emissions. This actually hits in June, which is next month, a couple of weeks. So tail emissions is basically the final mining for Monero, where it's going to be consistently every 2 minutes, 0.6 Monero will be mined. And in a day, it's about 430 that can be mined in a day for the rest of eternity, as long as it's still alive. And that's not a lot of money. If you look at it, 432 Monero. That's only $86,000 Monero. Okay, so the blue line you see here is every time a Bitcoin halving happens every 4 years, the block reward, the amount of Bitcoins that can be mined in a day, it drops drastically every 4 years. So the next, currently right now, Bitcoin, you can mine, I think it was 12.5, 6.25, one of them. And then the next halving happens in 2024, which is most likely going to be the next bull run. That's going to happen, assuming this bear market happens until for the next 3 years. The next, major bull run is going to happen in 2024. So using this chart for the Monero speculation, we can safely say that there'll be less Monero emitted every day versus Bitcoin. So it's really up to the person if you think it's undervalued or, but we could see, but, I could say $86,000 a day. That doesn't mean anything, but relative to what? So in Bitcoin, every day there's 900 Bitcoin mined, $27 million. Mine every day. That's the good thing about sell pressure, right? Like the miners, they mine it, they have to, maybe they sell to 27 million. Someone has to buy the 27 million or they keep it, right? But that's a lot compared to 86,000. And Litecoin, is 4,500 Litecoin a day, or 300 grand of Litecoin in a day. And the bottom chart shows the increase of Monero transactions for the past 2 or 3 years, and it's been increasing. So it's safe to say that Monero transaction is going to increase over time because of the dark market. People have a use case for it. They have to buy things on the dark market to make it worth it, and you need the privacy, right? And we could get a glimpse of what might happen when there's very little Monero. Okay, so 2 or 3 months ago, there was a marketing campaign from the Monero community doing a Monero run, meaning withdraw all your Monero from the exchanges and spike the price. It's just to prove that exchanges, they don't have that much Monero on hand. And if there was just a minor flip of buy pressure, it would skyrocket the price, which is exactly what happened. And they proved the point that when you do a Monero run, it has potential to skyrocket the price. So with the knowledge of less Monero every day, eventually it's gonna pop. Some countries gonna want some type of private coin to protect their assets. Eventually it's gonna happen. Okay, or either like maybe like a North Korea or one of the sanctioned countries, they need to protect their cryptocurrency, because even if North Korea buys a whole bunch of Bitcoin, they could blacklist all those addresses. So that's why they need these type of currencies. And eventually it's going to happen. We just don't know when. And the latest update from Coinbase, which goes along with the Monero run, is that they just changed their terms of service, supposedly, where they said if they go bankrupt, they don't owe you any of their digital assets. So that's why it's a good idea to do a crypto run. Everyone just withdraw all their crypto every now and then, just withdraw all of it and put it back like the next day or two. But it's just to prove a point that there's not much crypto on hand on these exchanges, and it would skyrocket the price if it was done on a regular basis, maybe every 6 months. Because I know Bitcoin has it on January 1st or something, January 2nd, where everyone just takes out their Bitcoin from the exchange, but that doesn't have really do too much. So that's Monero. So next interesting aspect with Litecoin is now it is a privacy coin. Litecoin is a privacy coin, which is a huge, I think. So another update besides the privacy upgrade for Litecoin was the Taproot upgrade, which Bitcoin actually upgraded to in November, but now Litecoin finally adopted it. It's more to do with Bitcoin Lightning transaction, because previously, if you know about the Lightning network on Bitcoin, someone looking at the blockchain, you could tell when a user uses the Lightning network and does a Lightning transaction. So Taproot kind of makes all the transactions look like regular. It just improves the privacy a little bit better when you use Lightning network, but also a whole bunch of other benefits too with smart contract stuff, I think. But I'm not too clear. Nobody has really took advantage of it yet, because it just kind of just came out in November. And Litecoin again, spelled it wrong, is everywhere. It's almost on every exchange. Unlike Monero you can only buy on literally one exchange in the US, which is Kraken, which is a huge bummer, where that's also could be the reason why the price hasn't popped too, because it's very hard to get. But now Litecoin, you get it anywhere and convert it to a privacy coin. That's a big. So this is a really good analogy, which I got from Holly Lee, the creator of Litecoin. So we know most cryptocurrencies nowadays, they're kind of like a glass house. You can see everything that's happening. You can see when people sending or receiving. You can look at their wallets, how much money they have. It's basically like living in a glass house. That's how most blockchains are right now. So, but some people like us, we're like everyday users, we're okay with some windows, with some privacy, right? But not like living in a glass house. So Litecoin's MimbleWimble upgrade is like living in a house with windows. But if you want like absolute privacy, like as your life depended on it, like a drug dealer on the dark net markets, then obviously you would go with Monero. Then you don't want any windows, right? This is the best privacy. That's when you need it most, right? So this is what Monero is. Versus Litecoin. Litecoin, they're just trying to cater to like everyday Joes where you just can't just look at a transaction that easily. So that's the analogy for that. So it gets a little technical. We'll do like the block headers with so in the regular transaction. So the way Litecoin MimbleWimble works currently right now, which it just released literally maybe 12 hours ago. There's now is 2 parallel chains on the network, which they call extension blocks on the blockchain. So on the left is how a typical blockchain transaction looks, and a MimbleWimble transaction block. It will be something where you can't see who sent it, who received it, and you can see the amounts. So in Litecoin, they have a peg in and peg out system now, where you could peg in your Litecoins to the MWEB. It's called MWEB chain, the MWEB chain, and then that's when all your Litecoins are invisible. And then you could peg back out from MWEB to the regular transparent world. Let's say Coinbase doesn't accept, they don't have a MWEB address to make things private. Then you just peg out from your private address on MWEB into the transparent regular Litecoin address. So that's how they're doing it. It's a little more robust, I think. But if you want the privacy, you go to your privacy chain, and then you want to. And I think it works out really well. I haven't really used it yet because it's so new. I just tried out and tested it, but it seems to work, and I think it has room to grow for Litecoin, because Litecoin is pretty stagnant for the past 5-6 years. Even if you look at the price, it hasn't really gone anywhere. But with this, I think it's a major stepping stone. If Bitcoin was to implement MWEB, which is possible because Litecoin is exactly the same thing as Bitcoin, they could potentially do it now, because Litecoin is more of a test bed for Bitcoin, where they try to experimental features first. So let's see in the next maybe couple of years, 5-10 years, see how Litecoin does with the MWEB integration, and it's very possible that the next Bitcoin controversy in the community would be integrating privacy with Bitcoin. And I suspect maybe in the year 2032, 10 years from now, it might be actually a reality to get that going. But it's still, still all experiment too. So, I mean, that's pretty much the Litecoin and Monero stuff. Any question before we get into the Luna stuff? I could get pretty technical with the Litecoin stuff. I didn't go too deep. How it's built. Yeah. Okay, so next fun topic of the night. Hopefully not many people got burned by this. So Luna, so here, Jaji will talk about Luna. And
anyone have Luna UST? Yeah. Still holding? Still holding it? It's too late. Yeah, I mean, nobody saw it coming, but even if you saw it, it was kind of late. Right, so I mean, it started back in like May 7th, I think. So basically, there was an attack, and everything was planned out, but nobody knew, right? About 85 million of the USD was sold for USDT to like depeg the price a little bit, but more or less the algorithmic stable coins that we're supposed to do, right? Back and it basically like went back to almost $1. But that was just a test, basically. But then the rumor spread on Reddit, 4chan, all these websites. Like everyone's panicked, so about $2 billion gets withdrawn from Anchor, which is the website where you put all your USD and get about 40% APY. It's really good, right? It's supposed to be working like. But then some people say it's basically a scam, it's like Ponzi scheme. Who's gonna pay you 20%? Right? It's not too much. Not it's free money, right? Okay, so a little bit of the attack. So the attacker, we don't know who it is so far. There's been rumors, maybe Citadel, but not really confirmed. We'll just say the attacker right now. Basically borrow 100,000 Bitcoin from Gemini. And yeah, and they basically waited. What essentially happened was Duquan, the guy that created USD and Luna, he wanted to move from the 3 pool to the 4 pool. And essentially, in order to do this, he needed to take a lot of the money out from the 3 pool and put it in the 4 pool. So the attackers waited for this. Essentially because once you're moving all the money from 3 pool, you have really little left in the system. So essentially the attacker bought, I think, 25,000 Bitcoins worth of USD, about $1 billion at that time. And he waited and then put about 350 million USD. He took out 350 million USD from the 3 pool, essentially depegging USD by a lot. So it went down from, I think, 96 cents to all the way to 70 cents. And then at this point, everybody that was paying attention gets screwed. Like, oh, I should run out, or not, maybe, right? And so this was like half the mess, right? Because then, okay, so, all right. So this is like half the mess because in order to get this back to $1, the algorithm has to convert basically the Luna. They have to sell Luna to convert it into USD, so USD can go back to its original $1. In order to do this, you sell Luna price goes down, and people panic. So after that, the attacker unloads the rest of the $650 million dollars of USD onto Binance. Huge effect, huge. So what ended up happening is Luna has a little bit of reserves in Bitcoin. So what they did was they sold their Bitcoin as well, started dropping the price of Bitcoin. And as Bitcoin price drops, everything drops, the Luna price drops. And because Luna price drops, they gotta sell more. And they keep selling, price goes down, and basically everything drops all at the same time. So at this point in time, it goes down to about $30. Panic, and they sent out a tweet. Duquan sent out a tweet to try to calm everyone down, stabilize, with the solution of, hey, if you buy all our Luna at 50% discount, and you lock it for 2 years, we can save point. This is the stupidest tweet I've ever heard of. Is that essential? No, bro. Yeah, like as common as going back up. Obviously, this doesn't work, and more panic, and it drops it down to like from 15 to like $1. Right. So Oh, well, yes, right here. This is the tweet. Basically, you know, we'll sell it to you a 50% discount, but you have to lock it and you can't use it. So you gotta basically flip yourself over. If you hold this for a whole year while everything else keeps dropping, it doesn't make sense. So it's a massive panic, massive panic. Okay, so then this guy was explaining how if the fork pool came much, it would be much harder to depeg the USD. It would require $3 billion rather than 300. But anyway, the point was, you know, the attacker waited for this to happen in the first place. So I don't think this would have worked. Right. And essentially it goes from $1 to under $1, and then it spirals down to 0.00001 of $1 until the point where it's basically worthless. Yeah. I don't know. There's people still buying in at that price. Yes, hoping they'll make a quick buck. But then people keep buying and buying and buying until they have no money left. You know, it was about 9,000x if you bought it at the lowest. Yeah. So somebody bought it for $100. Eventually it went back up after this tweet here, just a little bit, right? But it was enough to, like, if you had $100, you would have made 30,000. Yeah, you know, just put a little bit for fun, and then like he's making a lot of money. But everyone else had put before then, like, you're fucked, 99%. Wow. It was so bad. Their official Reddit top post was the suicide hotline. Yeah, just in case they had a suicide hotline on top of it. I mean, a week passes and he proposes this thing where they're gonna fork Luna as their solution. Nobody likes it. This is essentially an exit scale for the Ponzi scheme. Like, Luna will no longer be Luna. We're not gonna deal with it. We're gonna make a new Luna, and if you hold some Luna, we'll give you a little bit, 10% as an airdrop. Essentially, what's happening. Yeah, and this is gonna pass because it didn't. Well, public opinion don't like it. Yeah, public opinion was like 90% against it. But then he has all these validator friends. There's like 70% voted yes. So it's done. Like, if you had money, maybe you can get some money back in the airdrop. But yeah, they'll give you 30% right away, and then the rest of the 70% after 1 year, 2 years, 2 years. Yeah, I don't know about that far.